All right, y'all, the October challenge has started. Me and Lyric are getting it in with LASHAE on ifyoucanmove.com. Sign up for the October challenge before it's over, or sign up for the online gym if you're trying to get in shape. Okay, girlfriend will get you together in 30 minutes or less most of the time. Okay, I'm telling y'all, most of the workouts are less than 30 minutes. Get you in, get you out, get you some real results. Okay, and please don't forget to check out TLC products. Okay, they tell y'all it's a scam, but they lied. Okay, I'm telling y'all, you got stomach issues, you ever feel like, you're a little constipated, or your stomach hurt, a little nauseous, anything like that, that ISOT, any of the flavors is so helpful, so helpful. And NutriBurst definitely gets your energy where you need it to be throughout the day. I promise y'all I would not lie to you, okay? Because we're going through this challenge. We're working out every day this month, okay? So I need all the help I can get. So y'all check down below in the description box where you can get the links to everything. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondy Blue, and I am back for another Ratched review, y'all. Okay, so the episode starts off with Edmund. He's down in the cellar lying in his bed, and he hears the click-clack of shoes. And he thinks that it's his girl Dolly bringing his dinner down, but oh no, it's Mildred. And she's there to tell him to stop being dense and putting them in a situation where she may not be able to help him. She has set a plan in motion, and he's gonna ruin it if he doesn't get himself together. Okay? And he starts to cry about, well, she won't let him have the touch of a woman. And if he can't have Dolly, then I guess she'll have to suffice. And we got grossed out because at this point, we don't know that Mildred and Edmund are not biological siblings, okay? They aren't. But at first, it seemed as if they were. And to think that they have a sexual past, we're all disgusted. I mean, a lot of this show disgusts us. But yeah, that disgusts us. She says, let me be clear. I will never do that again. Then we see Gwendolyn, you guys. Gwendolyn has decided that she's thought about it and she can't take this anymore. She's leaving her gay husband, Trevor. And Trevor tries to stop her and says, no, I'll follow you. I'll track you and this Mildred woman down if that's her real name. And she says, if you don't move out of this doorway, I'm gonna knock your block off, Trevor. And he moves out of the way, and she takes her lonely luggage and strongly with her head held high walks out of the door and down the driveway. Gwendolyn goes to the seaside motel for refuge. And Louise is at the desk giving her the third degree about whether she's married or separated, or if it's going to be one bed or two bed, or whether she's going to be by herself or not. Just a whole bunch of information that Louise isn't entitled to. Give me my key, lady. Okay, and then here comes Mildred wisping by. She's on her way out to work, but she sees her and stops. Louise says, oh, you two know each other? Mildred tells her that she'll get used to it and to give Gwendolyn her key. Then she takes her into her room and helps her settle in, and she asks her what happened with her husband and, did he get physical with her? And she's like, no, he's a wonderful man, but I just couldn't do it anymore living this lie. I told him we might actually have a possibility at true, real love. And she looks into Mildred's eyes, and Mildred looks into her eyes, and then Mildred looks away because she can't do this right now. She has to get to work. Back at work, Mildred has a very awkward conversation with Dolly about masturbation and if she likes to masturbate, because apparently if you like to masturbate, you must be a sex addict. Yeah. Dolly tells her that anytime she would be flirtatious or anything like that, her mom would beat her. So yeah, someone's come from an abusive background. We're gonna see that show up in the storyline later on. Mildred diagnosed her a sex addict and says that maybe she can hook something up for her and Edmund, because she believes that Edmund having a female touch might be able to help him deal with his issues. How? How? Exactly how? I don't understand. Dolly says, you don't think that he might kill me? And Mildred says, are you a priest? She says, no. Mildred says, well, you have nothing to worry about then. What he did was intentional, and it wasn't towards a woman. You have nothing to worry about. Dolly asks if she still thinks that he's dangerous. And catching on that that is what excites Dolly about all of this, Mildred said, oh yes. He might even snap your neck. So they make a plan to meet during Nurse Bucket's lunch hour. They know that she will sit in the same spot for the entire hour reading a book and eating her sandwich. So the plan is for them to meet in the tub room and rub-a-dub-dub, snub, 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 hub, hub, hub. When the plan is set into motion, one of the nurses calls on Nurse Bucket, which actually brings her out of the kitchen and down the hallway just as Dolly is leaving. And Dolly is supposed to be going into the tub room, so it looks as if she's actually going home. But the nurse said, "Oh, we got it, Nurse Bucket." So Nurse Bucket goes back to her lunch and Dolly goes into the tub room with Mildred and Edmund. She says they have 5 minutes. She also asked Mildred to unchain him. And he's like, "You're not worried that I might kill you?" And she was like, "No." And then she goes to grab for his meat and he says, "I don't want that. I don't want to hurt you either. I just want to kiss you." So then they spend the 5 minutes making out. How sweet. The governor tells Gwendolyn that he needs to make sure that Dr. Hanover is on board with him giving Edmund Tullison the death penalty. He needs to make sure that he can stand trial. It has to happen. His constituents cannot think that he will be soft on a murderer like Edmund Tullison, killing priests, for God's sakes. Mildred goes to retrieve Ingrid, who is the older lesbian. And she's taking her into the tub room to boil her. Y'all know how they like to boil the lesbian out of folks. And Ingrid grabs a hold to Mildred and says, boil me until there's nothing left but soft meat falling off the bone. And you can scoop up and eat with a spoon." "Oh, Mrs. Cartwright won't even talk to me anymore." And Mildred says, "Well, that means that Dr. Hanover's treatments are working." And we all know that that's not true. Ingrid says, "Oh no, you don't understand what it's been like my entire life to try to keep the real Ingrid deep down inside until eventually it drove me crazy. You don't know what it's like." But Mildred does know what it's like. Huck and Mildred take Ingrid into the tub room where Nurse Bucket is waiting to boil her. But someone has cut the wire to the tub, so she'll have to boil another time. Of course, Nurse Bucket knows that there's some foul play involved, but she can't really prove it, but it doesn't matter. She'll just get the tub fixed and she'll boil in the morning. Back at the motel, Charles the detective asks Louise if he has any messages. And she's covered in leeches because apparently they're good for arthritis and she doesn't want to pay the 39 cents for the aspirin. Mildred left him a message, and once again she wants to remind everybody that there's no fornication in her motel. And Charles just squashes abruptly one of the leeches that is fell onto the desk while she's standing there telling him what he's gonna do. Like, lady, if you don't mind your damn business and get out of my face. He tells her to give him the phone and give him some privacy. So he gives Mrs. Lenora Osgood a call. Once he gets off the phone, he goes over to Mildred's room, and Gwendolyn sees him go to Mildred's room and stands outside to listen. Why would you do this to yourself? Inside, Mildred tells him that she knows he's after Dr. Hanover. She agrees that Edmund Tullison has to be stopped, and she has no allegiance to Dr. Hanover if he plans to allow that murderer to go free. She says maybe she can help him, but she would like a second chance at having sex with him because she's not happy with him saying that she was the worst lay of his life. So they're going to try this role-playing shit again, and we're all grossed out and tired by it. But you know what? She grabs him up by the throat, and he seemed to really like that. So then they actually did have sex, and he seemed to enjoy it. There was a cigarette after. She dressed herself and told him that she would make sure that Dr. Hanover was at the hospital. She would sneak him in where he would be able to kill Dr. Hanover. Once Charles leaves, Gwendolyn confronts Mildred as she's coming out of her door about whatever is going on, and Mildred tells her that it is none of her concern whatever is going on inside her room. She gets real close in Mildred's face and tells her that Edmund needs to be deemed fit for trial, and she says she will pass that message along to Dr. Hanover, but that's all she can do for her. When Mildred gets back to the hospital, she distracts the desk attendant, asking her if, she has anything in the lost and found, while Charles sneaks in and goes to Dr. Hanover's office to wait for him. Huck comes up to Mildred and tells her that Nurse Bucket got the tub fixed and plans to boil Ingrid in the morning. And she says, we'll handle this tonight. And in a set of very psycho-esque scenes, we see Dr. Hanover hit Charles over the head. Apparently, Mildred gave him the heads up. Mildred comes in, and they make him seem as if he's just another schizophrenic patient that has shown up on their doorstep in need of help. They take him to the tub room, set the temperature to 150 degrees, and lock him in and walk away. It was really terrible. I felt like they could have just drugged him. Like, this was really cruel to like boil him in this way. Like, I don't know if I felt like he necessarily deserved this. Like, I felt like Mildred did this because she was still unhappy that he said that she was the worst lay of his life. Like, get over it, honey. You're a lesbian. You're not gonna be some guy's favorite, you know, wet warm spot. Like, whatever. Mildred tells Dr. Hanover to go back to his office and clean up his mess, very much taking the mother figure with him. And if he didn't act like such a spoiled little brat of a child, then she wouldn't have to treat him like one. Just letting you guys know, he's very much a child in a way he, you know, is constantly needing someone to help him through all of these crises. Mildred gets Ingrid out of bed and Huck gets Mrs. Cartwright out of bed. And they both end up meeting on the road. But before they do, Gwendolyn was actually like riding up to the hospital and saw Huck putting Mrs. Cartwright in a car. And she stops them and asks where he's going with that patient. And he says she's not a patient. Mildred was able to get Ingrid and ran outside, and they hopped in a car with Huck. She gave them some money and sent them to the next bus station farthest away from here. So the lesbians got out. Gwendolyn goes into Dr. Hanover's office and finds blood on the floor. And he doesn't answer why there's blood on the floor, but she uses that to get Dr. Hanover to see how important it is that Edmund stand trial. You understand me, don't you? Charles was boiling in the tub, but actually bust out of it somehow. Like, I don't know how he did it, but he's a red, scabby, fourth-degree burned mess. I mean, he looks like a monster. He doesn't even look human. And he's walking around the hospital. And the teenage boy who was a part of the lobotomy experiment is walking around looking for a glass of milk. And the security guard helps him get the glass of milk and takes him back to his room when he sees Charles standing in the middle of the hallway looking like a demon. The security guard keeps asking him to stop, but he doesn't stop walking, so the security guard shoots him in the face. Yeah, they really don't teach people how to de-escalate situations or even to see if someone is really going to harm someone. But I understand, I guess you didn't know whether that thing was human or not. You had to shoot it in the face. What else were you going to do? Wait for it to bite you on the neck and turn you into whatever the shit is going on with him? No. Shoot him in the face. Mildred, Gwendolyn, and Dr. Hanover, who were in his office, run out to hear what the commotion is about. And when they see what's happened, because they know Charles is not supposed to be there, they send the security guard and the kid away and tell Gwendolyn to just calm down. They're not going to call the authorities, because if the authorities found out that she was somehow involved in the death of a patient at the hospital, that wouldn't look so good for the governor. So that's how Mildred gets Gwendolyn to shut up, because Gwendolyn is very self-righteous and wants to do everything by the book. I want to call the police because we have to. This could ruin the governor's re-election, you know, all of that. But Mildred shut that down. Dr. Hanover and Mildred burn Charles' body in the incinerator, and he drops her off at the motel, where she finds Gwendolyn sitting in her car smoking a pack of cigarettes, trying to calm herself because she's not over what the hell she just saw. Mildred gets in the car with her, and she says he didn't even look human. And Mildred says, oh, the man God intended for him to be was long gone by the time he darkened our doorstep. I said, Mildred, please, give me a break. You slept with him, you tricked him, and then you killed him and burned his body in the incinerator. What? Let's not do that, okay? Let's not act as if God intended you to be this person. Mildred says that they should go and celebrate life, and they should have dinner again at that same seaside restaurant that Gwendolyn took her to when they first met. When they go back to their rooms, Mildred pretends to go into hers, but goes into Charles' room, goes through his things, finds the $250,000 check that Mrs. Lenora Osgood wrote to him, and then she finds a phone number for Mrs. Osgood, gives her a phone call, and lets her know that Charles is dead, and that maybe she should come so that they can have a conversation. So Mrs. Osgood asks where she should vacation, and she tells her that she's at this seaside motel in Lucia. Back at the hospital, Huck tells Mildred that she's an angel for what she did for Mrs. Cartwright and for Ingrid. Also, Mr. Cartwright is screaming to the top of his lungs at the desk, wondering what has happened to his wife. We don't know. No clue. Then we get a flashback of Mildred when she was in the war, caring for a man whose leg had gotten blown off. There were no drugs. He was in pain. He begged for her to kill him. So, with tears rolling down her face, she took a pillow and pressed it firmly against his face in the night until he passed away. Thus, beginning Nurse Ratched. The beginning of episode 5 starts off with Mildred and Dr. Hanover meeting at a restaurant so that she can blackmail him into making her the head nurse. Obviously, she knows where all of the bodies are buried, and if he doesn't do what she wants him to do, then he can tell the governor about Mr. Salvatore, about Charles. She'll testify to the fact, and we'll see if he ever gets any money or if he escapes execution. Who knows? She reminds him that it's best that he do what she says for him to do. Back at the hospital, Nurse Bucket brings Dr. Hanover an eclair, and he smashes it with his hand and asks for her resignation. He is tired of all of her gifts. He is so disrespectful, and the fact that she is constantly trying is just so hard to watch. Like, y'all, it makes me so mad. It's like, snap out of it. He's a douchebag. A dopehead douchebag at that. She asks if this is about the lesbians escaping. He says if she doesn't step down, he will give her a lukewarm recommendation. And she still wants to work at this hospital. She'll just step down. And she says, who could fill my shoes? And he says, Nurse Ratched will fill your shoes. Just fine, thank you. Nurse Bucket sees red. She's pissed. So now she's trying to get revenge on Mildred's ass. Mildred takes over the hospital and the nursing staff and tells Edmund and the rest of the nursing staff that she's orchestrating a spring fling so that all of the nurses and different administrators can get to know the patients a little bit better, including the homicidal murderer that you have down in the basement. We're going to unchain him and let him to play with the group. Are y'all insane? Who would ever agree to that? But we forgot that Mildred is now in charge. Dr. Hanover really doesn't have a leg to stand on in order to argue with her. So any old dumb thing that she wants to do is going to be granted. And nobody's going to blink an eye about it except for Nurse Bucket, who thinks it's insane. But what is she going to do? She's not head nurse anymore. Nurse Ratched is. Mildred tells Edmund that he needs to do something during the dance to make everybody know that he's insane. Nurse Bucket tells Mildred, even though listening to her dictate to the nurses this morning made her want to vomit, she's still going to put her pride aside and not give Mildred a hard time. Mildred takes this opportunity to tell her that Dr. Hanover really does like her and she should ask him to the dance. I'm like, why are you setting this lady up for the fall? I never understood what the point of this was. I guess Mildred thought that if Betsy, because that's Nurse Bucket's name, Nurse Betsy Bucket, if Betsy was worried about hopping on Dr. Hanover's D after the dance, then she wouldn't really be worried about Mildred and whatever nefarious plans she and her murdering brother might have for the evening. Mildred goes to Dr. Hanover and tells him that he will say yes when she asks him to go to the dance, and he doesn't want to, and she says, you will do what I'm telling you to do. I insist, Dr. Hanover, I'm only looking out for you. I don't see how he could think that was possible, but like I said, he's a child, so he lets her run it. Like, what else is he gonna do? Then we meet Charlotte Wells, you guys. Oh my God, I always forget the actress name, but she's played in so many different things. My mind instantly goes to Hotel Rwanda. But yes, she's an amazing actress, okay? And she plays the entire hell out of this role, okay? Charlotte Wells is basically a woman who has multiple personality disorder, or that's what they used to call it back in the day, okay? I think they call it associative personality disorder. I'm not sure, but they call it something different now. But either way, we find her on a college campus berating people, like screaming and howling in their faces. Beethoven would you in the face. You're nothing. I am Undine Duquette. I said Beethoven will fuck you in the face. Oh, okay. That was a bit much. So she finds herself in Dr. Hanover's office looking for help because she explains that not only did she have this loud outburst and she was arrested, but she can't remember a lot of things. She seems to have lapses in her memory. She mentions that 2 years ago she was in the hospital for melancholia, which is, I guess, what they called depression back in the day. And she tried to kill herself. When he asks who Undine is, she says, I don't know, I've never seen her, but I hear her voice all the time, and she starts to cry, and she puts her head down, and when her head comes up, she's Baby Taffy, and Baby Taffy just wants to fix Mommy some soup so she can feel better. Like, that's all she wants to do, you know? So as soon as Dr. Hanover tries to grab Baby Taffy's arm, then we meet Apollo. Get off of me! Adolf Hitler, come and get me. You think he's dead, but he's not dead. You don't think he's smart enough to put some bones in a building? Come and get me. So she takes a chair and smashes it on the ground and picks up one of the legs as a weapon, and Dr. Hanover and some of the orderlies and the nurses have to like muscle her down to a bed, and they give her a shot to calm her down. And Dr. Hanover says that she has multiple personality disorders and he thinks that he can help her, and he starts to try to research the treatment that would help her. Mildred tells Dr. Hanover to show the governor that he can help Charlotte Wells and other people like her, and he can put his platform on that, and he won't be worrying about Edmund Tullison anymore. And I'm like, girl, I don't know why you think that. She can sometimes, as smart as she is, as manipulative as she is, she plays chess, but a lot of the times it's luck. And I also feel like she has this weird optimism that her plans are gonna work out. Why would you, think that that would work? But I guess she's just doing what she has to do to get him to not have Edmund deemed fit for trial. Whatever she has to do, maybe let it fall through cracks. I don't know. If you're so worried about Charlotte, then you won't be worried about him. Like, I don't know what she's thinking, but either way, I don't think in the long run the governor cares. The governor cares about killing Edmund because it is a news story, because his constituents care about a man who killed 5 priests. Okay, that's why. They're not going to care about the black woman who has multiple personality disorders, because a lot of people didn't even believe that that was real. Some people still don't believe that that's real. So it just wasn't going to work out in any way, shape, or form. So the fact that Dr. Hanover let her mind fuck him into believing that it would just lets you know that he's high the entire time. Just saying. Mildred has her lovely dinner with Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn tells her that the governor wants the Edmund Tullison situation resolved by the end of the month. And she says, of course. Gwendolyn asks her why she invited her there. I mean, she totally rebuffed her advances and says that she had her all wrong, and, she was working off of misconceived notions. So what is she doing there now? And Mildred admits that she does have feelings for Gwendolyn, but she doesn't understand those feelings just yet, and she needs to go at her own pace. And Gwendolyn understands that because, she once was in love with the woman who went to war, a nurse, and here she is now with another nurse. So it's cute, and Mildred is starting to feel her, but I wish there would have been more interaction between them that made me feel like Mildred was sexually attracted to Gwendolyn, because I feel like there wasn't a lot of that energy that would put you in a situation to understand that you want to be in a sexual or romantic relationship with another woman. You know what I'm saying? They had conversations. They smiled at each other. It was pleasant, but there was no physical passion about their relationship, which made it, I guess, almost sterile or unbelievable in a way. They're both really good actresses, but the lack of romanticism in their relationship, I feel like, was a missed opportunity. But let's move on. Mildred asked Gwendolyn to be her companion to the dance, and of course, she agrees to be her companion at the dance. Mrs. Lenora Osgood and her monkey arrive at the motel. Louise is so excited to have somebody with money there. She's showing off this room, you know. It's like, it's the best one we have. She was like, I wouldn't let my monkey stay here. Where is Mildred Ratched? Okay, she's intense. So she goes to Mildred's room and tells her, we're going to find more acceptable lodging. I'll be in touch. She finds some grand hotel and gets the entire top floor, and she's also going to redecorate it while she's there. And she and Mildred have a conversation about Dr. Hanover and what he took from her and her son, about how he used to play the cello and she thought it was someone singing, but really it was him playing the cello at perfect pitch, and he'll never be able to do that again, and that is why Dr. Hanover has to die. Mildred says that she will do it, but she'll do it for a cool $1,000,000. Mrs. Lenora Osgood says, you're trying to take advantage of me, and no one takes advantage of me. So their conversation ends there for now. So y'all, another cringe-worthy scene with Nurse Bucket and Dr. Hanover. She asks him to the dance, and he agrees to go. And then he asks her if he can, you know, hypnotize her, test it out on her for Charlotte. And she's so excited to be a part of his work. She sits down and he's like, you know, hypnotizing her. He's like, you're getting very sleepy. You don't want to go to the dance at all. You don't want to go to the dance with me. And she's like, of course I want to go to the dance with you. So it didn't work on her, and he got really upset about that. But I don't think she's the type of person that hypnosis would work on. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's thirsty. She's not stupid. Dolly goes down to the cellar to see Edmund, and she's excited about the dance, and they have a plan to escape together. They dream of running off and living a life where no one tells them what to do. I was like, yeah, this isn't good. This isn't good, especially since she, you know, read his file and found out about what he did to the priest. And he says, you must think I'm a monster. And she says, no, I know one of those priests hurt your mom. And I understand what that's like for somebody to put anger inside of you like that priest did to you. So I want to run away with you, Edmund, even though I don't know you and you're a murderer and you could probably choke me out in my sleep. I want to run away with you. Like, it's been crazy. During Edmund's shower, Mildred comes to see him, and she asks him what his plan is to make everybody think that he's crazy. And he says that he's going to slit his own wrist, so to get him something sharp. Dr. Hanover gets an opportunity to hypnotize Charlotte, and he gets her to reveal what happened to her. And she talks about how some white boys kidnapped her and beat her for 9 days. One of them felt bad and called the police. The police showed up. The police was actually one of the boys' father. And he said to her, I'll let you go if you promise not to tell anybody or press charges. So he gave her a clean set of clothes, $5, and put her on a bus. And since then, she's had Apollo, Ondine, and baby Taffy protecting her. So during the hypnosis, he tells her that this trauma no longer affects her and to thank them for protecting her. So she's supposed to be cured at this point, right? That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. Dr. Hanover does his notes that night and cries to himself because he finally helped somebody. And I'm sure after what happened with the Osgoods, he feels as if he hasn't been able to help anybody. The lobotomies didn't work. You know, it's just, it hasn't been a good year for Dr. Hanover. Apparently, Louise and Nurse Bucket are friends. I mean, it makes sense. They both work on a nerve, I tell you. Okay, but they have lunch together and drink and talk, and Louise knows that Betsy is head over heels for Dr. Hanover, and she's so excited about going to the dance with him. She asked Louise to teach her some dance steps or to work on her moves with her, so they do. And they end up sitting on the porch drinking, and Nurse Bucket tells Louise that she has a plan to get even with Mildred. She can't stand that uppity bitch, okay? So she wants Louise to look through her room and find anything she can find on her while they're at the dance, which you know Louise is happy to do with her little nosy ass. Dr. Hanover is at a diner having lunch when Mrs. Lenora Osgood walks into the diner and sits down at a booth and watches him for a few minutes, and he sits there stone scared. And when he looks behind him the second time, she's gotten up and walked out. So he runs to Mildred crying on his knees. I don't know what to do. I'm on drugs. She followed me. You know, it's just like, oh my God, man, pull yourself together. Mildred pretends as if she doesn't know that Mrs. Osgood is there, and she tells him that she must have not called the police for a reason. She must have something that she's hiding as well. She tells him to hide out at his office until further notice. So he goes to do that, and she goes to see Mrs. Osgood to ask why she scared him and let him know that she's in town. And she says, look, I followed him around with a gun in my pocket all day thinking that I was going to get enraged and just roll up on him and shoot him in the face. Okay, I thought that's what I was going to do, but I thought about it. And who's going to take care of my son with no arms and legs if I'm in jail? Okay, so I need somebody else to do it, and I do not need to be implicated. Mildred says, I'll do it for you. But you know that Mildred said $1 million. Mrs. Osgood says, I'll pay you $100,000, which pisses Mildred off because Mildred saw the $250,000 check that she wrote for Charles. So it's like, oh, you'll pay him $250,000, but you only want to pay me $100,000? You know, she was pissed off about it, but she let it roll off her sleeve. At the dance, Charlotte is having a good time, apprehensive, a little nervous, but the security guard comes over to her and asks her to dance. So they kind of dance the whole night and have a really nice time with one another. Nurse Bucket is there trying to dance with her man, as she said, making herself look like a damn fool. Her man is somewhere shooting himself up with drugs so he can even deal with her. He comes back to the party with red eyes, looking high and disheveled. I'm like, what is wrong with him? They dance. They do the Charleston. He's dancing like a maniac. I mean, he keeps doing wild dance moves to keep her away from him because she keeps trying to get close to him. It's just a lot. You know what I'm saying? She looks pathetic. He looks like an asshole, a drugged out one at that. It's just terrible to watch. Then Edmund shows up to the party and everybody is like, and it gets all awkward and quiet and everything. Not too long after that, Dolly gets there and goes straight over to him and pulls him out on the dance floor, and Nurse Bucket comes over. What the hell do you think you're doing? And she's like, mind your business, Bucket. You're not the head nurse anymore. Okay, worry about your own life. So Nurse Bucket goes running off, okay? And Edmund and Dolly dance in preparation for their plan that they're going to execute, which is not the same plan that Edmund has with Mildred. So Nurse Bucket goes over to Dr. Hanover and pulls him out on the dance floor one more time. And she's whispering in his ear and babbling on about how, you know, she wants a white picket fence and she wants to sit on a porch and drink coffee on Sunday mornings together. And he just couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take it anymore. He pushed her away from him and said, ever since I came to this damn hospital, I have loathed you. And the only reason I didn't fire you is because the previous owner put it in a contract that I had to keep your ass, okay? I don't want you. I don't like you. And if you come anywhere near me again or tell me what to do ever again, I will strike you in the face. I was like, not strike you in the face, Dr. Hanover. That's abusive. You a whole ass man. Gather yourself. Mildred comes over to him as Nurse Bucket runs off in horror. And Gwendolyn is like, someone needs to check on her. And Mildred just stands there like, I don't really like the bitch. But Gwendolyn is like, if you won't, then I will. So they go see about her. And she's distraught. I mean, tears running down her face, makeup a mess, bang, yang, yang is all over the place. And they basically tell her, Mildred tells her, that Dr. Hanover is a dope-head idiot and she deserves way better than him. And he wishes that he was the type of person that Nurse Bucket is. He wishes he deserved a woman like Nurse Bucket. They big her up and she pulls herself together. Mildred tells Dr. Hanover that he's an insolent child and he had one job and he just couldn't do it. And he says, I'm not going to let another woman tell me what to do. Man, 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 man. And she tells him to shut the hell up. Okay? And reminds him that he is sadly mistaken if he thinks he's running anything around here. Edmund and Dolly decide that this is the time to set their plan in motion. He walks over to the security guard who's still dancing with Charlotte and slits his throat. Blood all over the lady's face. She is now re-traumatized and goes straight into Undine all over again while this man is bleeding and dead on the floor. Then Gwendolyn comes in and Gwendolyn is trying to get this gun from Dolly because Dolly has a gun. And she's like, just put the gun down. It's okay. I'm like, Gwendolyn, what the hell did you think you were doing rolling up on this girl with a gun? Like, what kind of white savior complex dumb shit was that? Like, I was just like, why did she think she was going to be able to talk her down? So she shoots Gwendolyn in the boob. And this really, like, scares the shit out of Mildred. Mildred probably was horrified, but the look on her face when Gwendolyn got shot, she runs over to her to try to help her. And Dolly and Edmund run out of the building, and they're chased into the night by police officers. They leave a car behind and everything. But he was mad that she shot Gwendolyn, and she was like, what the hell? Like, you killed the security guard. Who'd he ever hurt? And he was like, the security guard was fair game. And I'm like, is it because he was black? Is it because he was black that he was fair game? Edmund, you racist piece of Look, I'm going to let it go, but that's how I felt. That's what was on my mind when I was watching it, okay? But anyway, that was Ratched episodes 4 and 5. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back for the next one, y'all.